Chairman Dada, it is 5:30.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining us at the Palm Springs International Airport Commission meeting for the month of April 19, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. At this time, I will request Commissioner Feldman to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Agenda being posted.
Yes, Chairman Dada, the agenda has been posted.
So much. Roll call, please.
For those commissioners on Zoom, unmute your mics at this time. Commissioner Adams. Breslin. Badillo.
Present.
Burke.
Present.
Corcoran is excused. Dada.
Here.
Feltman.
Here.
Hedrick.
Present.
Hughes.
Present.
Michaelis.
Present.
Miller.
Here.
Payne.
Present.
Pye.
Here.
Slama.
Here.
Suero is absent. Wise.
Here.
And Wiseman is excused. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay. So now it's time I will entertain motion for the acceptance of the agenda that all of you have.
Before we make a motion, I'd like to note to the commission that we have been notified that for all votes made by the commission, that we actually need to do a roll call vote for each one. So we'll be doing that beginning this meeting. So,
Very well noted, and we will do that.
so do we have a motion to accept the agenda?
So second. Is a motion, second, and changes to the agenda. Seeing none, all in favor, I'm sorry.
I know, it's gonna be a hard habit to break. Commissioner Adams,
Accept.
Breslin, Badillo,
Accept.
Burke,
Accept.
Dada,
Yes.
Feltman,
Yes.
Hedrick,
Accept.
Hughes,
Yes.
Michaelis,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Pye, Slama,
Yes.
Wise.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Thank you. At this time, we will open up for public comments. Limited to 3 minutes on any subject within the purview of the commission. Christina, do we have anyone online or in person here?
We have no one scheduled for public comments today. If anyone on Zoom wishes to speak in public comments, please raise your Zoom or you're in the queue. Please mute your mics. If you'd like to speak in public comments, please raise your virtual hand. Is there anyone in the room this evening that would like to speak in public comments? Commissioner Dada, we do not have any public speakers today.
Thank you. At this time, I will close public comments and will entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes from the January 18th. So moved. Have you motion on second? All right.
So roll
Christina.
call vote, Commissioner Adams, Breslin, Badillo,
Accept.
Burke,
Yes.
Dada,
Yes.
Feltman,
Yes.
Hedrick,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Michaelis,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Pye,
Yes.
Slama,
Yes.
Wise.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you, Christina. At this time, I'm going to introduce to all of you our new CEO and city manager who's known me here for at least month and a half or 4 weeks or 3 weeks. So Scott Stiles, this is the airport commission and the show is now all yours.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I appreciate just having a couple of minutes of your time to introduce myself and just say maybe a few words of interest that I thought you might have. from my standpoint. I do want to let all of you know on my first day on the job, my first lunch that day was with Chairman Dada. So he gave me a good introduction to things right away on my first day. So it's great to be here. I thought I'd just say a few things about myself, so you get a feel for who I am, what I've been doing. I came here from Orange County in Garden Grove. You may know a little bit about it, in between Long Beach and Anaheim, right in central Orange County. What a lot of people don't know, it's the fifth largest city in Orange County, almost 175,000 people. One of the things that really interested me in this position was something that was also important to Garden Grove, is that both cities, at least Palm Springs and the whole valley out here in Garden Grove, are greatly dependent on tourism. I could ride a bike to the gates of Disneyland and the Anaheim Convention Center, which is, I think now the second largest convention center on the West Coast. So obviously critical to tourism and the economy there. So it was really important to me, in knowing the importance of that industry here. Was one of the really selling points for me. One of the things I was really interested in. So I was city manager there for 7.5 years. I had gotten recruited to come out to California from the city of Cincinnati, where I worked for 27 years. Long career there, kind of came up through a large organization, 5,500 employees. At the end of my tenure there, I served as the assistant city manager for about 8 years. And I then spent 9 months as the acting city manager. And probably like a lot of us, who amongst us gets everything we want in life? And I was one of the 2 finalists for the job. And another individual got it. He was the CFO for the city of Baltimore. I went back to being my assistant city manager, loved the city, wanted to do everything I could help my new city manager be successful. It was a very public process. And so, I started getting calls from recruiters saying, well, Scott, here's a great job in North Carolina. Here's something in Texas. Well, and they called me out of the blue about Garden Grove, and one thing led to another, and I ended up coming out there. And just had the same individual who recruited me to come out to California was the same person working for Palm Springs who recruited me to come out here. And my family and I, we've come out here a lot over the past 7.5 years. Just like all of you, we've come to love, this part of the world and the entire Coachella Valley, and particularly, it really enjoyed our time in Palm Springs. And so, when the job came open, it was really tough for me to not want to throw my hat in the ring and compete for the job. So, I'm really excited to be here. Thrilled to work with Harry, all of his staff, and do everything we can to help carry out the mission of the airport. And I know all of you are charged to really help advise us on that. So I'm thankful for all of your advice and your guidance on this. And so thank you very much. Just a couple other things I thought I would mention might be of interest to you. You might have seen last week, I appointed Chief Paul Alvarado as the new fire chief for the city of Palm Springs. Chief Alvarado comes to us as he's the assistant fire chief for the city of Long Beach. And you may know the city of Long Beach Fire Department has a terrific reputation for developing fire chiefs in the fire service, chief officers in the fire service, battalion chiefs, division chiefs, assistant chiefs. What was really particularly important to me in appointing Chief Alvarado to the position is he had done a significant amount of work working at the Long Beach Airport. And knowing how important that is to our community, our region, I knew it was going to be very important to find a chief officer who had some experience with airport operations. So I think our fire department is going to find him thoroughly knowledgeable about the work that we do here at the airport facility related to fire service. course, you all know we have our fire headquarters right here on the grounds at the airport, and you know, that certainly signifies how important they need to be and how important they need to be involved in everything here. So Chief Alvarado is going to start with us on May 1st. So he'll be here shortly, and I'd love to have him come and introduce himself to all of you as soon as he gets here at one of the next meetings. I think you'll find him very engaging, very knowledgeable, and I think he's going to be a great asset to all of us here. So I'm excited for him to get started. Just a couple things. I want to thank Harry for really taking me and his chief security officer on a really in-depth dive into the operations of the airport, just driving the entire perimeter of the facility, getting into the meat and bones of everything, everything that occurs here, how it operates, and you know what the future plans are and all of that. So thank you, Harry, for that. Really appreciate it. Just a couple other things I thought I would mention. Of course, we're going into our budget process. So we're going to be preparing a 2-year biennial budget for our council to approve. By law, they have to approve a budget by July 1st. So we're working on developing that budget for them. One of the things that, of course, the airport's an enterprise agency, and revenue that comes from the airport here has to stay within the airport operations, and that's by state law. And so we really want to make sure that we use those resources in the right way. We have, in speaking with Harry, we have a number of vacant positions. And one of the tasks that I want to do is work with Harry to get those positions filled as quickly as possible. So important to the operations here, to our reputation and everything else. So I'm going to be doing things like detailing a human resources specialist, specifically operating right here at the airport to help move the position approval and appointments along as fast as possible. Harry has a number of budgetary position requests into our budget as we're developing that, and I'm quite certain a large number of those positions are all going to be recommended by me and hopefully approved by our city council. So it's critical, it's important, it's high on my list of what I'm trying to pay attention to. So I wanted to just kind of make those comments to you. The last thing I'll mention of everything that I've been involved in the past 5 weeks since I've been here is, I would say, the number one issue that I hear from everybody is the issue of homelessness. And I know when I was, doing my research and reading and paying attention to what was going on, leading up to the many interviews that I had for this position, certainly we had an issue with homelessness here on the airport facility, and thanks to our city attorney and other folks for putting some processes in place so that we could enforce and prevent homelessness from happening here in the airport facility. So it's just important for all the reasons that I know you're aware of, and you don't need to go into that. So thanks to all of you for support given Harry and city attorney for work on that. So it was all very important. But we're working on a number of other issues around the area of homelessness. I know it's not what the commission here is involved in, but Orange County, we worked on standing up a pilot street medicine program. Can think of it as urgent care on wheels. We did some mobile mental health stuff. I really think we need to figure out, we're in the process of building a navigation center up in the north part of town. I don't think it's enough. I think we need to find some other resources and some other things that we need to do. So tie it. That's clearly an issue that's important. My 5 bosses, and so something that I'm paying a lot of attention to. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to take up too much time of the body, but I appreciate you giving me a few minutes. And I don't know if anybody has any questions. I don't know that I'll be able to answer them. But I want to stay engaged with all of you and certainly be supportive of Harry and the commission. So I appreciate the time.
Thank you for joining the commission, and we do appreciate you being here and giving us an update. And we are thrilled that you were able to figure out the need that Harry has with his staffing. And hopefully we can gear him up and fulfill all the full-time positions that we have vacant, and that will be a big help to Harry and his team.
Yeah,
Thank you.
full speed ahead from my standpoint. I want to, no grass growing anybody's feet here. So we need to, and it's not just in Harry's, at the airport operations here. We have a lot of vacancies all throughout our organization. So, it's a lot of you are involved in running organizations, you're involved in business, you know how important it is in putting your team together. I have 3 important positions to put my team together. One was a fire chief, one I've got a chief building official open, I've got interim finance director. So I'm going to be announcing the chief building official position next week probably. And then we'll be making some decisions quickly on our finance director. So you all get it. I gotta get the team together so we have the capacity to get stuff done. So that's my focus, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. Do appreciate that. We move on to 7B, and unfortunately, our city clerk, Brenda, will not be able to join us, and she extends her regrets. And we are hoping that in the May meeting, she will join. Having said that, I would like to at this time introduce our new commissioner from the City of Festivals, Rick Weiss. And Rick, maybe a few words to this commission.
Oh, well, thanks. I really wanted to be a member of the committee. I worked at Alaska Airlines for 32 years as IT project manager. And my husband and I retired here, and we moved to Indio, and we just really involved in the city. And this opportunity came up, and I guess the regular guy, the other guy was turned out. He only allowed 2 terms. And so the city council approved my application. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, definitely. We've had the pleasure of Jan Smith for the past 6 years, and we are equally grateful with your background to join us.
Thank you.
All right, discussion and action items. Commissioner terms, Christina.
Thank you, Chairman Dada. Commissioners, wanted to let the commission know that Harry and I have spoken with both the city attorney and city clerk Brenda Pree. And we have been instructed that for municipal code 2.06.010, commissioners may serve on the airport commission for a total continuous service of 7 years. For Palm Springs commissioners, the extended service must be approved by the city council. And for the other 8 cities in Riverside County, the extended service must be approved by the appointing city or the county and the Palm Springs City Council. We have 4 Palm Springs commissioners and the Riverside appointee whose terms will be ending on June 30th. And I will be contacting those commissioners as I'm instructed to do so, or the city clerk's office will be doing that to let them know if we're going to be extending their time as commissioner or if their term is going to officially end on June 30th. And that's all dependent on the city council making appointments and reappointments, which hopefully will be soon.
Thank
Any
you so
questions?
much.
Any questions?
Seeing none, move on, and I know it, our city attorney who have joined us, I believe, several months ago, just right. Yep. And again, you will give us a brief update on the Brown Act rules and discussing during our meeting when we have agenda items.
Correct. So thanks for having me. We don't have Brenda for your speakers. So we have me the next best thing. So I'm here to talk to you about the Brown Act. The last time I saw most of you was on Zoom, so it's nice to see everybody in person now. And we're here to talk about the Brown Act, specifically what are the provisions of the Brown Act dealing with what can be discussed by commissioners, when things are not specifically listed on the agenda. So we kind of got a broad overview of the Brown Act, last fall. And before I delve into the specific statute and the language of the statute, I kind of want to take a step back and ask us to think about kind of what the big picture purpose of the Brown Act is. The purpose of the Brown Act really is to notify the public of what items are going to be discussed or acted on by their legislative bodies, whether elected or appointed. So kind of think of yourself as a member of the public. You're sitting at home, you've looked at the agenda that's online, or maybe you've driven down to City Hall and looked at what's posted. You've seen what's posted on the agenda. What can you expect when you're sitting home on your couch is going to be discussed at that meeting or taken action on after you've looked at that agenda? So with that, I'll give you the language of the Brown Act. So the Brown Act says each agenda has to have a brief general description of each item of business that's going to be transacted or discussed at the meeting. And then the Brown Act goes on to say that members of the public can comment on items, but that commissioners are prohibited from discussing or taking actions on any item on the agenda.
We're good.
Okay, so that's the statutory framework. You got to list, have a brief general description on the agenda, and then we have to stick to what's on the agenda for the most part. And that means we can't discuss or take action on something that's not specifically listed on the agenda. Seems pretty straightforward. The Brown Act, though, has a number of limited exceptions where individual commissioners can make brief comments, and the statutory language references asking a question for the purpose of seeking clarification on an issue, responding to a question that's posed by a member of the public on an issue, making a brief announcement, making a brief statement, reporting on a commissioner's own activities, providing a reference to commission staff or other resources for additional factual information, requesting that commission staff report back at a subsequent meeting concerning a particular matter, requesting commission staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda, or providing a brief response to statements of people who are exercising their public testimony rights under the public comment. So those are statutory exemptions that allow the commissioners to make brief comments or brief questions about things that are not specifically listed on the agenda. And we provided the commission with a memo that kind of provides some general rules of thumb. The main thrust of those rules of thumb is that we don't want those brief statements or questions turning into a discussion. Unfortunately, the Brown Act doesn't really define what discussion is, but generally a good rule of thumb is when you have commissioners kind of going back and forth, providing a point, counterpoint to things that have been said, or when you have a majority or even close to a majority of the commission who are all weighing in on something. I usually, when I see a majority of my council or of one of my appointed boards start weighing in on something, I try and kind of put the brakes on that, because then that starts looking like it's. I know one of the examples given in the League of California Cities publications called Governing Open and Public. I think the latest version is volume 5. That was published in 2016. They had a little blurb, and it says the agenda includes an item entitled City Manager's Report, during which time the city manager provides a brief report on notable topics of interest, none of which are listed on the agenda. Is this permissible? And the publication says yes, so long as it does not result in extended discussion or action by the body. So that's the situation that we have. We have an executive director's report. That's to allow Harry and maybe his staff to provide the commission with an update. It's really not meant to be a discussion item. Obviously, if one or two commissioners have a question or want to provide amplification or clarification of something that's in the report, that's okay under the Brown Act. You just don't want to turn it into a discussion. So hopefully the memo is helpful. If you have any questions, either now or later, I'm available to answer your questions. This item is agendized, so if we have further discussion about it tonight, we can do that.
Question.
Yeah.
When can the commission, under what circumstances can it have a solution?
Well, for example, you've got items that are listed on here that I think we give the public an idea of what we're talking about. So we've got the ALA update, that's item 8L. So that's something that is on the agenda, and it would be appropriate to have a discussion about that.
So 7A through C and 8A through 8C could all be discussed.
Yeah, those are all discussion or action items. I think introductions and presentations, I think most members of the public would probably assume that there may be a discussion, but maybe not necessarily action. But under section 8, that's the discussion and action items. I think if you're sitting at home when you look at this agenda, you'd say, well, they might take an action on the ALA. Probably wouldn't think that the commission's going to take an action on Scott's, on his presentation or introduction.
So Harry's got 3 items in our commission packet right now. We've got a commission staff report. And then we've got a capital improvement project program update.
Is this under his director's report?
Well, that's my question. So I got that. And then I've got a third item, which is the executive director's report. So 3 separate items. Can any of the, I think you're telling me the executive director report, the items in that cannot be discussed.
Correct. It's really more of an update to the commission and the public.
Understood. So how about the other 2?
What are the other 2?
It's called the Projects and Airport Capital Improvement Program Update. And this one-
It's 8M, it's agenda item 8M under discussion and action.
Projects and airport capital improvement program. I think like that matches 8M.
And then Airport Commission staff.
Airport Commission staff report.
The 8C.
I'm not sure where that's at.
It's item 8L, about 2/3 of the.
AULA update? 8L is AULA update?
Yeah,
That's the one you're referring to?
well, that's not the title, yeah, I think that's. Yeah,
That's what we're talking about, then I think that would fall under 8L. Update and can be discussed.
okay, thank you.
So, yes, so in other words, what I have understood from city council meetings and from being a staff member in many other cities, that anything on the posted agenda can be questioned by the public.
Yes,
Is that correct?
yeah, they can comment, they can comment on any item.
And that the commission then is limited to discussion of what items on the agenda?
Well, discussion and action items,
So, okay, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's the parameters.
well, a discussion, I think, would be really limited to section 8. Section 8 of our agenda is really discussion and action items. The other things are reports, like Harry will give a report. Maybe there will be some brief questions or comments. Section 10, commissioners request reports. You will each give your reports on activities you've done. You may have requests for future agenda items. Report of council actions is number 11. I don't know who gives that, if Harry gives that or if Victoria gives that.
It's just a report.
It's a report, it's not a discussion, it's not an action, it's literally just reporting of things.
So what commissioners could do then is ask questions on that report you said. And that if they want to further discuss it, then they request staff to bring it back
That'd be appropriate.
at the next meeting.
In other words, if there's 2 or 3 commissioners who have questions, that's one thing. If you see a groundswell of commissioners, unfortunately, there's not a specific number of product. You start seeing, 6, 7, 8 commissioners who all have questions, then it'd probably be appropriate to ask whether to be brought back to the future agenda.
Okay, so it's 1 or 2, it's okay, but if there's 7 or 8, then.
1 or 2 and their brief comments. They're not 1 or 2,
Good question.
30-minute diatribes or, expositions on their thoughts about a particular matter. Brief comments or questions is really kind of the heat of the product.
So if there's something on number 9, then we can ask for it to go back on number 8 under discussion.
Yeah, if there's something that Harry reports on and you start seeing that a number of commissioners have a lot of questions about or want to discuss, have opinions about, then it'd be appropriate to say, gee, staff, if we bring this back as a discussion at the next meeting.
Okay. And I've got an additional question, if that's all right, Mr. Chairman, please. Is, so if a commissioner wants to add something to the agenda that's not on the agenda, I watched the council meetings, and the council has a set rule on how to add items to the agenda.
Yeah, and each legislative body has its own rules about how to add. Some cities and their councils or their commissions will say, you know, one council member or one commissioner can add something. Others will say, look, we want to have a majority under the theory that it doesn't make sense to have one or two council members or commissioners adding agenda items if a majority, at least the majority of the council or commission doesn't want to discuss it. So each agency and each body has its own rules. I don't believe we have bylaws here for our commission.
No bylaw, but we do have rules.
Okay, so.
Well, but I need to correct that. That was never voted on by the commission. So staff laid out a memo saying this is how it's going to be. And but the commission never got to debate it nor vote on it. So I have to disagree with you, Harry, that the commission did not come up with the rules nor vote on it.
And then it becomes a matter for the commission in terms of how you want to handle it. And unless the council overrides the commission, then it's up to the commission in terms of how you want to add agenda items.
Is that on our agenda to talk about in this meeting, or is that something that would have to be put on the next?
Which topic is that? Sorry.
How to add items for action and discussion
No, we do not have an agenda item for that
today?
today.
Okay, so that would be next week. If we put it. Okay, all right.
Well, where on the agenda would you ask for that?
In commissioner request.
Well, usually we see it, yeah, during commissioner requests and reports.
Any other questions?
Is there any commissioners on Zoom that have any questions at this time?
On the side over there.
Yes, so I have a question. It was Paul Padillo, I represent the city of Wells in the Commission. So I attended a number of city council meetings within the Coachella Valley. When reports were provided, council members asked questions, public asked questions. So why was that allowed? Why did that allow? And including the Palm Springs City Council meetings, where commissioners cannot ask questions of the executive director during the executive director report.
Don't mishear me. I didn't say that commissioners can't ask questions. I said we want to limit it so it doesn't turn into a discussion. So a couple of commissioners can ask limited brief questions or make brief statements. You just don't want to turn it into a discussion.
So I understand you don't want to have a question turn into a 30-minute diatribe. But we can ask questions 2, 3, 4 minutes and get responses back from the executive director.
Yes, you just.
I think here's the challenge that we have, because we've gone around this for a while. The discussion is trying to understand an issue. And you understand that you can't make a decision, and you need to post that you're going to make a decision and go to the agenda and has to be notified. No issues with that at all. But if we take at random something out of Harry's executive director report, and there is interest in it, and it turns into a discussion, or I'll make up a number, 23 minutes, right? That seems to some of us to be rational, normal, what you'd want an engaged commission to do. We're not making a decision, we're trying to understand what the issue is, and sometimes staff needs to go back and do research. So that seems to me that that would be what you'd want the commission to do, and that would be okay. Is that not the case in your mind?
So the Brown Act, just a little bit of history before I answer your question. The Brown Act used to say the legislative body cannot take action on an item that's not on the agenda. That would fit within your kind of paradigm.
Yeah.
The legislature amended the Brown Act to say that the legislative body cannot discuss or take action on an item unless it's listed on the agenda. So the legislature has made it clear that you can't discuss an item and have a discussion of an item, even if you hold short of taking action on it, can't have a discussion of an item on the agenda unless the public has an idea that that discussion is happening. You know, here, can you give me an example of one of the items that's listed under the executive report for this?
No, it's
Sorry, I have to,
something that's not the AULA, because that's one.
here we go.
This project updates, right?
Commissioner request for agenda item for presentation on airport Wi-Fi from city IT director.
Okay, so generally Wi-Fi. So that's in the executive director's report. And he's going to report to the commission about it. If the commission starts having a discussion about it, a member of the public who looked at that agenda and decided to stay home and watch Survivor this week, they're not going to be able to participate and weigh in on the issue of Wi-Fi at the airport. And you may all feel that you had a very enjoyable discussion about that item. Unfortunately, the other component is not there, the public, and that's what the Brown Act is about. It's not about making sure you feel that you've had a good discussion. It's about making sure the public is able to weigh in if they want on that discussion. You may come back and say, well, we're going to vote on it at the next meeting, so they'll have an opportunity to weigh in on it. But we don't know if somebody from the public's testimony at that meeting could have informed your discussion at that first meeting. And so I understand that, there's not a right line between a few questions and a few comments and discussion, but the Brown Act says you can't discuss.
Okay, I get it, and I think the example of Wi-Fi is on the agenda, so.
Sorry, it was actually, his item is specific to having the IT director give a presentation. Sorry, wrong item to pick.
That's yours.
But I think what it-
So,
what we're trying to get at, I think Gary's executive reports have a lot of meaty issues in there. Very meaty issues that pertain directly to the operations and administration of the airport. And as commissioners, we're supposed to take that information, analyze it, and then make recommendations. If Harry brings something up in his executive report that either is new to the commission, we've never heard of it before, or if it pertains to something that is new, whether it be homeless, whether it be in his current one, the airport use of leasing, where that's a very, very, very important topic for commissioners in the commission, and for us to be able to advise the council on what we should do, and et cetera, et cetera. And he has a lot of very good items in his executive report. So how do we as commissioners who need to digest that information and then discuss it, do that if his report is not discussed?
You want to answer that, or do you want to?
Well,
Question.
I'd like to interject. Two points. One is, I think part of the purpose of the airport commission is to engage with the staff on issues of import to the airport. And I think a rather simple and elegant solution is number 9 has been typically listed this way as executive director report. I don't think there's any, well, I would ask you, is there anything in the Brown Act that would prohibit the executive director from listing a number of items that may not appear already in 8A through O, which is going to be probably the bulk of the conversation in the meeting? Is there anything in the Brown Act that prohibits listing a few items in here so it would enable us to have the dialogue? Because then it would be publicly, it would be made public, the posting of the agenda.
You could do that. I would question why you wouldn't just put it under section 8 then. If you think it's meaty enough that the commission is going to want to have a discussion or maybe even take action, just put it in section 8. I mean, the point of the executive director's report is really to inform. And then if you, as a commission, believe that there's enough interest to have a discussion about it and maybe bring back, tweaks or something, let the staff know and they can bring it back as a second link discussion.
So you could say 8.p, executive director report, so get rid of 9, make it 8.p, and that would solve our problem, true? Assuming airport staff is okay and Harry is okay with that, true? And then we could discuss or not discuss, and then now we're totally kosher with Brown.
Just take out the words executive director report and continue on with the subjects that are under the director's report. Then it's not a report, then it's a discussion item. In other words, a report is, I'm reporting to you, I'm telling you something. It's more of a one-way information provision. A discussion and action is deliberation, discussion, debate, and maybe a vote. And so usually agencies will have an executive director report for things that the staff wants to advise their legislative body on and not have a discussion, but tee it up for a discussion if the legislative body wants. And one of those borderline issues, staff wants to inform their legislative body, but they don't want to presume that the body wants to take up, agenda time and meeting time talking about it.
I will add a lot of the things that I add in my executive report. I don't know until after the agenda is posted as well.
Exactly right, plus short staff means that all we have to move quickly, and there are things on the report that is going to council, within a week. So I think there's a way to solve this when we talk about commissioners' reports and requests, just the process for adding agenda items.
No, I'm trying to simplify this and ask a clarifying question. If I hear you correctly, Jeff, you're saying if we find something of interest in Harry's report, we can say this may be of interest, we want to put this on a future agenda. I'm hearing Commissioner Payne, I want to just make sure we're really clear. I heard him say add on to the existing agenda 8.p. That's what Commissioner.
That was a potential solution, and the challenge, Todd, is we don't want to keep deferring to the next one, right? So if it's on the action and discussion list 8, then in some way, shape, or form, then it can be discussed, and we can say, we can come to a conclusion, not slow Harry and staff down, and not defer to the following. So that's a potential solution we can talk about later. But you're right, that's what I was proposing. Just
Okay, and understood, and my interpretation, listening to Jeff's explanation, is somebody sitting at home wouldn't have the opportunity, they have no idea what is in Harry's report, and if we're now making that an item that we're discussing, how would they possibly have known?
They would get it at the same time you and I got it. So the moment we got it, we look at this, and they could read Harry's executive report. So they get it at the same time we do. So the people at home would not be disadvantaged.
Anything else?
No, I think this has been a very lively discussion. I appreciate it. I also want to let you know, some of the city's other boards and commissions have representatives from the city attorney's office, for example, planning commission, the appeals board, one other, and so I want to make myself available. I have an attorney at BBK who represents other airports. If the commission would like, I certainly be available, make myself available and make my office available to have an attorney here at commission meetings to help you with these kind of legal issues as they come up. So just wanted to send that offer.
Scott, will you allow that to have in our future meetings a representative?
Since you're asking, Ted, yes. No, certainly we want to be supportive of the commission, whatever,
So that's the trick. We know.
The other thing is, do you have clients, other cities that have like commission bylaws or commission processes and procedures? And would you be willing to share those with us?
That is in process, yes. That was something that was started by Scott's predecessor, and we are definitely taking it up down various ranks as well.
Is that for all the commissions or just for specific?
Yeah, and I think the idea, at least under Justin, we'll leave it to Scott in terms of what he wants to continue with doing this, to create a set of kind of standard bylaws that apply to all commissions, but then for each commission that has unique issues, have set additional provisions, kind of supplemental provisions that pertain to the unique issues that people have particular commissioner for.
Yeah, I think because of just the amount of commissioners we have. We have 3 or 4 times the amount than most of the other commissions. And because this commission deals with the largest enterprise that the city has, that I think those things really need to be laid out so that we can operate as efficiently as effectively as possible.
Jeff, appreciate you joining us. And then we move on to 8C. Airport Commission, anything done, Christina?
Thank you, Chairman Donna. Commissioner John Payne has requested that the airport take a vote to determine if the majority of the commission, which is 9 currently, I believe, I'd have to double check the count, but for a majority are in favor of recommending to the city council that the airport commission meetings be held at an earlier time of the day on the 3rd Wednesday of each month, excluding August when we go dark. If the majority of the commission vote in favor of holding the meetings at an earlier time of the day, I will contact each commissioner to see if we can come up with a time that the majority of the commission is in favor of, and the commission will vote on the time at the May commission meeting. And if there isn't a time that the majority agrees upon, I will bring back the top 2 times for the commission to vote on at the May meeting. Any questions?
Is that acceptable?
Commissioner Adams?
Just for reference, I've been here for many years. There's a reason we went to this time frame, even though most of us are not fans of it, is to allow people who work 9 to 5 jobs to have an opportunity to serve on these commissions. And when they're working 9 to 5 jobs, that's not always an option. That was the motivation and reasoning behind the council moving the meetings to this time frame. Just preference.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Can I comment? Please. So this is, as many of you know, this is something that I've been trying to get on the agenda for a while, and my reasoning is as follows. You can see the length of our agenda now, and we're just started. So I got a feeling, I'll bet anybody at Cafe Mocha from our PS Coffee that we're gonna be here till 8:30 or 9, maybe longer. So I see things getting more complex, more involved, our concession program, a number of things happening at the airport as we grow, which is great stuff. And thinking that if we have a meeting time that is during the 9 to 5 arrangement, I think it would be more conducive to getting work done and not impinge upon family time and personal time. I also note that we have very little public input. So we get a letter once in a while, which is great. You can take that at 9 as well as 5:30. And any comment that people could make, they could do, if we chose a lunch hour, they could do it during their lunch break. So I don't think it's inconveniencing the public. And the public and the noise committee has their time set after work hours. So I think we'd be more productive, and I think that we would not have to run meetings long or cut things short because the meeting itself is running late into the evening. So that's my reason, Commissioners.
Knowing that all of us are appointed at the pleasure of our respective city councils, so Scott, knowing that Palm Springs has the majority, then we make sure that our city council blesses that we are discussing and debating and sending out emails and giving everyone the preference of their time. But we've been told time and time again that the city council would like all the commissions to meet at 5:30.
Mr. Chairman, is it, I think one issue is it's is it statutorily in the ordinance that this is when the commissions meet?
Correct. So in 2020, the city council adopted an ordinance that basically set the standard for its voting commission is 5:30 unless the council makes an exception otherwise. And the reason was, as was stated, one of the recommendations from the city's redistricting task force was to move meetings later. And that was just the policy the city council made. But again, they provided for an exception, and like all policies, it's something that the council can always take up and reconsider.
Before Christina makes the move, we would like to get the blessing from the council that this is what the airport commissioners are requesting. And if we can change the time of our meetings.
Is it, the council members will probably ask me what time, what day?
Well, this is what Christina is gonna be sending out once we get the blessing that, yes, they will entertain a change from the commissioner. But if the commissioner,
I think it's reversed.
yes,
We're making a request. The council that we want to change.
So
And-
our first step is to see if the majority of the commission does wish to change the meeting time.
so. my
So
fault.
before we go to council and say this is what the commission wants to do, we want to verify this is what the majority wants to do.
Then I would support, yes, move forward, please.
And is it gonna be a motion and a
This,
second?
yes, so a motion and a second are made to recommend that to recommend to the city council that the time of the commission meeting be moved to an earlier time of the day.
Okay.
And then if this passes with a majority, which we have 14 members in attendance today, so the majority is 7. Majority, if you add one, right? Okay, so we add one, so 8 today.
So can he make the motion or who? makes
And we have not made a motion yet. Commissioner Payne, or did I miss it?
I did not,
Commissioner Payne made the suggestion to put this on the agenda.
correct, but Chairman Dowda made a motion, I think.
No, I haven't been.
Okay.
I'm not saying-
Who's on first?
Someone make the motion. Make the motion. Yeah. I suggest city council that we ask the members of the board whether they want to change the time.
And I second.
Okay, for those commissioners on Zoom, please unmute your mics now. I'm gonna take a roll call vote. Adams? And I'm sorry, this is a yes or no vote, excuse me, yes, no, or abstain vote. Sorry, Commissioner Adams, you have a question?
Again, just to clarify, this is just to make a suggestion, what time we would like.
This is to confirm that as wish to change the meeting time to an earlier date. If this passes, then I'm gonna contact each commissioner to get a time that they would prefer that works best for them. Then see what the consensus is. If, sorry, do you have a,
I would recommend it not be done by email. If the commission.
no, not by email. I will
Oh.
contact, no. Oh, I can't contact each one individually?
Oh, so really,
Yes.
Ooh,
So just what we vote to change, then we figure out the time, right, next meeting. Or
Okay. Okay,
That would seem to be the clearest for me to convey to the city council is that the commission's talked about this, you pick the time that you'd like to move it to and on a day. They may ask me questions about, well, do you know that there's other commissions at this time and everything else? So I would think the more specificity, the better, right, for your discussion tonight, if you can arrive at that.
So can we do it in two?
Yes, I do have a question about this, whether or not this is the right time to do it, because the commission is turning over, isn't it, for many of the people on it?
yes.
And we do want to make sure that the people who are going to be on it are the ones that can get the vote.
I don't know, Jeff, I mean, right now that we were asked to put this on the agenda. So I would think the first step is finding out if the majority even wants to do this.
That would seem like the logical step. So
And-
I was against spend a lot of discussing different times and dates and. To ask the council to consider it, you're gonna spend a lot of time talking about times and dates. So it's not-
Might be mute.
I'm gonna be brief. I'm gonna vote no.
And Patricia President speaks my mind.
Keep going.
Somebody else has said what I think.
Any comments from the commissioners on Zoom?
Okay, so we'll take a roll call vote. And so it's yes, no, or abstain? Commissioner Adams,
No.
Breslin? Same. Badillo,
Yes.
Burke,
No.
Dada,
No.
Beltman, you said no.
No.
Hedrick,
No.
Hughes,
No.
Michaelis,
No.
Miller,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Pie,
No.
Salama,
No.
Wise.
No.
The majority is for no to not change the time of the meeting.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Christina, we move on to 18.
Has to be excused, I have a minute.
Please.
7 o'clock.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you. We can have, Harry Daniel.
Daniel is on Zoom. So,
Agreement with Hughes, Daniel, you have any update?
apparently connecting.
He's on the phone. Daniel, you need to unmute your phone.
Hi, yes, I'm here.
You're on.
Oh, we actually have Scott Jacobson with Fuse Connect will be giving presentation about that portion. I will not be doing a marketing update tonight because I'm actually out of town conference.
Can we have the presentation on the Fuse Connect LLC?
Yes.
Yes. If you guys can hear me, okay. This is Scott and this is Alex from the Fuse team. We are excited to spend a few minutes with you this evening virtually. We're looking forward to meeting everyone in person here shortly, but I'm excited to just spend a few minutes to share a little background on who we are, a little bit of context into what we think of value we bring to the airport, and just a 30,000 foot real quick kind of vision for what we see, ahead, the road ahead. First is before we get going, I just want to say kudos and a real thanks to the airport staff, Daniel, Harry, Kim in procurement. The whole RFP process was nothing but professional. For us that work at a few other airports as well, it was a really great process. And so we're just grateful to them for that process that we went through. Alex and I kind of a little just quick context on us because I think it provides insight into who we are. We both come from a higher education background. We both worked at USC in fundraising and sponsorships and advertising. Alex has his doctorate from there. I have my master's. And so we sort of took this experience of working and cultivating relationships, working with sponsors and advertisers, and then kind of took that formula and came over to the airport space. You'll see on the screen right now that our other clients or partners, as we like to say, that we work with are Ontario International Airport, Santa Barbara Airport, Charles Schultz, Sonoma County Airport, and now, hopefully I'm working with you all. And so we're gonna just go through our deck real quick, tell you a little bit about what we're doing at those airports and what we're gonna be doing hopefully with you all. Kind of the pillar of who we are, it comes down to these three key kind of core elements. First, as I mentioned, is relationships. We believe that in order to really drive revenue, to maximize the potential that you can get from advertisers, is that it can't be a transactional relationship. It needs to be purposeful. You need to really understand what the advertisers, what the community is looking for, and really show and demonstrate impact and how your airport can really help them accomplish those goals. And so in everything we do, whether it's working with the airport staff, whether it's working with local nonprofits, and whether it's working with national brands or local brands, we really believe in the relationships are the core of everything that we try to do. The second thing is innovation. And this is kind of, I think, a little bit of how we potentially stand out is we really believe that Traditional airport advertising has gotten very transactional and antiquated, and that we found in our 3 airports that we work with right now is that just bringing a little bit of outside the box thinking, bringing a little innovation, and the next slide I'll show you about some things we've done at Ontario International Airport that speak to this, really allows you to, again, drive revenue and also create really cool PR and promotion opportunities for the airport and the community as well. And then the third thing is local. So yes, an advertising program, should have some national brands. Your airport has done a fantastic job growing over the last few years, and really at a point where you can attract some of those national companies and brands. But also really making sure that the foundation of what you're doing is local, so that when your passengers are coming through, they can see a business that they frequent often. They can see a place that they stay at. They can have a sense of pride and a sense of place when they see the advertising program coming through. So we're looking forward to having a combination of a core of a local advertising program, sprinkled in with some strong national brands as well. And we have some great relationships with some national brands that have followed us at all the airports we work at. And we're very confident they're going to follow us here as well. Wanted to just kind of speak real quickly to Ontario International Airport, because I think a few things we've done there really kind of highlight and showcase what we're talking about. So on your screen at the top left, you'll see Brewery X and Top Golf. So Brewery X is a local, independently owned, family-owned brewery in Anaheim, California. They're actually the largest independently owned brewery in Southern California. They started off as an advertiser in Ontario, and we got them to start advertising on our digital screens and doing some signage, and we had them participate in some events that the airport was doing. And through that relationship, we started to introduce them to airport staff. They were reimagining their concessions program, and they ended up deciding to go into a joint venture to open up a brewery at the airport. Alex and I took that as an opportunity to say, hey, how can we do something really outside the box? And so we contacted Top Golf to advertise at the airport. And through those conversations, we were able to come up with a really cool, innovative program where Top Golf now is going to be placing swing suites in the brewery at the airport. Ontario will be the first airport really in the world, but North America, to have Top Golf swing suites in the terminal. It's going to be part of a really awesome plan for the airport, and we're going to be driving some revenue and advertising dollars through the swing suite and the brewery. And so I think that example just speaks to what can sometimes start as just a simple advertiser can lead to some really great things. The second thing you'll see on the screen, you'll see a really cool shot of the National Guard hangar at Ontario. That's, you might notice it. That's where Ford versus Ferrari was filmed. We reached out to Porsche to advertise at the airport. They have a dealership nearby. And when we first reached out to Porsche, they said, we're not interested in advertising. We sell a lot of cars already. No thanks. And so Alex and I, and you'll learn this about us, we don't like to take no for an answer. So we reached back out to Porsche and said, hey, we have this really cool spot at the airport. They filmed Ford versus Ferrari. We'd love for you to just come over and check it out. We had no kind of preconceived notions. We're not hitting you up for another advertising deal. We just want you to come over. They came over, and kind of what we thought, they fell in love with the space. They started to think about how they could do a really cool event there with some of their VIP clients. And they said, what do we need to do in order to do this? And we said, well, you need to become an advertising partner. And so that kind of one conversation of, again, getting outside the box and thinking about sense of place and utilizing an asset that's at the airport has led to a now going on 3 years, 6 figures a year, a partnership with Porsche at the airport. And so again, it just speaks to the kind of mindset that we hope to bring to Palm Springs International Airport. The third is something that we're really proud of. We did a really cool partnership deal with Good Day LA and Fox 11. We sat down with them and we kind of showed them some data and showed them just how important the Inland Empire and that region and the growth is. They had already been doing the same research, and they know that data even better than us. So we put together a really cool partnership as part of that. We worked with police and public safety and TSA in the airport, and they were able to place a camera at the airport on Mondays and Thursdays. On Mondays, they show the weather forecast, they show the airport, and they talk about some of the business routes in Ontario. And then on Thursdays, when they talk about leisure travel and weather, they show the airport and talk about that as well. That has become a huge boom for that airport. It's helped us land other advertising deals because of that. And so again, real quickly tonight is just to kind of give you a quick glimpse into who we are and how we are going to bring some of these same creative ideas to the Palm Springs Airport. Just real quickly, roadmap ahead. First, we really want to reimagine the program by improving the environment, enhancing the digital and static, and again, complementing the architecture and aesthetics of the mid-century modern design of the airport. The RFP was very clear. Everyone has been very clear that we need to make sure in anything we do, that's obviously it keeps in mind the aesthetics of the airport. We're very familiar with this. Santa Barbara Airport, as I mentioned, is one of our partners. Very similar, the architecture, the design is very key to what they do. And so we're very aware of those kind of frameworks to work in. And so we're looking forward to enhancing the environment, but doing it in a way that complements the commission, the city, and the airport. We're going to clean up some of the space. You all are very familiar. We think we can reduce some of the clutter of the displays that are at the airport, but at the same time, not reduce revenue and actually increase revenue by our approach. We want to grow the local advertising partners in number and in annual spend, but also make sure we have a mix of national brands that can really kind of highlight the best of the region and the best of the airport. We want to create innovative partnerships that bring in revenue, but at the same time, really, again, buzz and positive PR for the airport, the commission, the board, and the city. I spoke to those examples earlier. And again, sometimes just as important as the revenue is the buzz that some of these opportunities create. And so we're looking forward to doing that for everyone here. And lastly, we want to obviously increase, we've heard it in the RFP was very clear. We want to increase the annual revenue. That's going to happen not only by our rev share split with the airport, which is higher than your current concessionaire, but we also are going to just grow it in sales as well. And lastly, we just want to integrate seamlessly with the staff and community. So we're really good representatives of the airport.
And as Scott mentioned, as part of our commitment to the airport is to really invest and listen to the goals of the airport. One of the first things we're going to do is invest in the digital and static infrastructure. So our commitment in our proposal was to invest $400,000 into really reimagining the space. As Scott mentioned, our goal is to declutter and align to the mid-century modern motif of the airport. One of the things we're going to do, and I'm just briefly going to go over some of the photos, some of the mock-ups, just so you know, we're not going into this making unilateral decisions. We see this as a partnership with the airport. So any new additions we make to the airport, we're looking, we're going to work in unison with Daniel and the rest of the staff to really implement something that the airport and the community can be proud of. One of the things that Scott mentioned, we really see airports and terminals as kind of a gateway to the region. So we really want to clean up the space so that not only passengers, but staff and the community can be proud of the space. So just to give you a quick overview, one of the things we noticed when we walked through the airport was that there was a lot of static clutter kind of on the, not only on the walls, but also on the carousels. So one of the things that we're really interested in doing is really cleaning that up, simplifying it with large LED screens, double-sided, and then on the back, digital screens, and on the back walls, adding digital LED screens as well. We did notice that there was an opportunity for digital infrastructure in the carousels, really creating a digital network connecting both concourses, not only the Sonny Bono, but also Concourse B, and really creating a unique network where advertisers can really be highlighted in both regions.
Another component to this is that we're going to network it so that if an advertisement is playing in the Sunny Bono, the same advertisement could be playing in Concourse B, so that there's really one unified message throughout. I think this is something that advertisers, will really enjoy and something that, they can be proud of. And then lastly, I think one of the big components here is when passengers are arriving, welcoming them in a really first-class environment. I think the arrivals corridor area is one of those key components to really an opportunity to up-level the experience and really attract new advertisers. Go ahead, Scott, if you have any.
Yeah, so I think just before we kick it over to questions, Alex and I are super excited to get to know everyone. We are very familiar with the area. We have family, literally family that live in the Coachella and Palm Springs area. We have friends. We both grew up in Southern California. We are couldn't be more ecstatic and excited to be working out there and really feel like our experience, the examples, the airports that we currently work with that I know gave references to the job that we can and will do. We're just excited to be able to share that vision with you and really be able to come back and highlight in a quick amount of time some of the successes that I know we can have together. So with that, I know you've already had a long meeting and it sounds like you have some more to talk about. We're happy to kick it over to questions and answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? And thank you for your presentation. Please.
Commissioner Miller and then Commissioner Adams. Go, Commissioner Miller.
I just got two questions. First question, I'm sorry I missed it. How long have you been in business?
We have been in business for a little over 3 years. So we have the 3 airports that I mentioned earlier. We also represent UC Santa Barbara Athletics and Cal State Fullerton Athletics. So we have a sponsorship vertical for college campuses as well.
Okay, and this question is more for staff. Do we hold those later or?
Yeah, is it okay if we have Commissioner Adams ask his question, then we
Yeah,
come
sure.
back with that? Okay, Commissioner Adams?
Just a question, I mean, most of the time, the whole objective of most airport terminals is the passenger waiting area to make it a calmer environment, not bombard them with a lot of advertising. Just, is that something that would be a concern with this type of implementation? Basically, all visual volume, that's something that we take into consideration.
Yeah, I think if I heard it right, and yes, I think if I heard the question right, was that the waiting areas in the gate holding, should be a little more calm, not a bunch of digital, and we agree. So the digital that we showed actually would be potentially, and again, this is all going to be, we have to get our contract approved. We have to go through all this process before we can really fine tune a plan. It's, based on a month RFP, but in one walkthrough, but the spaces that we showed, there's some current static advertising with some casinos that are already up. So it would be almost a replacement of a current static box. It wouldn't be throwing up a bunch of digital in new places in addition to others advertisement that's already up there.
Commissioner Payne?
2 questions as well. What customer demographics metrics would you share with the airport? You're selling advertising, you believe you can drive more revenue, hence the better percentage. So how detailed will we get when it comes to reporting, age and race and dogs and, all the things that you want to know as an airport when it comes to the people that use the airport?
Well, so the airports, it really depends on the complexity of the airport's infrastructure to collect certain data. At Ontario, Santa Barbara, we work with the local tourism boards, the local regional chambers, the Convention Visitors Bureau to sort of use some of that data and collections. And then, we really focus on number of passengers and impressions. The brands, the companies are really focused on,
really how many people are flying through the airport, and then translate that into number of impressions when they're standing in front of a board. That's what dictates a lot of times pricing and things like that. So, we would work with the airport, work with, local tourism groups to help collect some of that data. We're not necessarily going out and surveying passengers to collect, demographic information on them by any means.
Okay, and then the second one, there's infrastructure that you're gonna need to do what you wanna do digitally. You also know that we've got a big concession program that requires infrastructure improvements. How are you gonna work with those folks and our city IT people and do the uplift on infrastructure? How's that gonna be?
Yeah, we would, the RFP process, the the bonding requirements. I mean, everything is very kind of laid out. So we obviously, the Kim already has, all of the insurance that we needed to get per the airport. That's already been submitted. Obviously the bonding will be, submitted at the appropriate time. And then, yes, we will, the first thing we'll do when something is approved is we'll just sit with the staff and really get on the same page with what the plan is. And we'll be working with the airport really closely. At all of our other airports, we're badged. We are able to be there. We follow all the security and protocol to go through that badging process. So, if that's something that's going to happen here, great. But otherwise, we will.
That's not answering the question. My question is, we got a lot of stuff going on. Now you're gonna start doing stuff. Is that gonna come down to the broad shoulders of Jeremy to make certain that everything doesn't bump into the right hand?
Daniel could probably speak to this. This is, Daniel would be managing this implementation.
Yeah. Hi, John. Yeah, so the food and beverage concessions are completely separate from the advertising concessions. I mean, we'll keep them abreast of what's going on, especially changes we do construction wise with an expansion of the baggage claim. But we'll be managing, we'll be working together to make sure things are in the correct places and things aren't put where they shouldn't be for, restaurants or retailers going to go, but it'll all be working together.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Daniel, this is Scott Miller. It says that there is optional 2 years on the lease term. Who triggers
Yes.
that?
I'm sorry, who renews that? That is, so the options to renew are, those options to renew are the sole discretion of the city. So we do, the airport retains that.
Okay, so the airport has to initiate it and agree to it.
We do, yes.
Okay. And was there any discussion about the length of the contract versus the amount of time this company's been around?
Discussion on what exactly?
Right, I mean, it's unusual to really give a 5-year lease to a company that's 3 years old.
I don't know any discussions about that, but it's a 3-year term with 2 1-year options. So technically it's a 3-year term with potential for 5 years. But in all the city contracts, we still retain the ability to exit with a 30-day notice.
Right, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the presentation. You appreciate that.
Thank you.
Said that, we'll move on to.
Oh, well, we need to make a motion. Let me get on it. Motion to recommend that the city council approve an agreement with Fuse Connect LLC.
So moved. So we have a motion from Ken. I'll second. Second from Todd.
We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Adams,
Agree, yes.
Breslin,
Yes.
Badillo,
Abstain.
Burke,
Yes.
Dada,
Yes.
Beltman,
No.
Hedrick,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Michaelis,
Yes.
Miller,
Abstain.
Payne,
Abstain.
Pye,
No.
Slama,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
That is 9 yes votes to pass the motion to recommend to city council to approve the agreement for Fuse Connect. Thank you.
So much, appreciate that. We move on to knowing, don't have any update on 8E, marketing. We move on to Budget and Finance Committee 10.
So on April fifth, the Budget and Finance Committee met. And the following is a summary of our discussions, there was no public comment. We had a discussion on the parking fees. Executive Director Barrett stated that, consideration was being given to raise the short-term rates for 20 minutes from $2 to $3, and the hourly fee from $6 to $8. There would also be a new charge of $28 for oversized vehicles that take up more than one space, like huge campers, etc. And that this additional revenue will help with capital projects, both general maintenance on the parking lot, as well as other upgrades that are necessary. One of the commissioners, Commissioner Scott, requested information on funding of projects by Measure J. Executive Director Barrett said that a list was being developed and will be shared later. Projects for Measure J first have to be approved by the Measure J Commission. They're also getting projects from all the various housing associations throughout the city, so it's a large number that they'll pick and choose from. And then once Measure J approves the list of projects, they have to go to the city council. We also had an initial review of the 23-24 and the 24-25 proposed budgets. There were several questions asked, but because the city was still in the early stages, no action was taken. I met with Victoria earlier today. And she went through a number of revenue increases that new revenue streams that the city will have under the new agreements that we have at the airport. So I advise people to take notes on those new revenue streams. That's really quite exciting. And also I'd like to commend Victoria and the staff for all the work that they've done for this budget. I think it's really well done. Victoria.
I have nothing further. That was a great update. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? When we had the operations committee meeting, you said there was a line item for Wi-Fi, and I know there's an item below, but since we're on the budget, could you identify what that item is? And what its intended purpose is for?
Sure. Do you mind if we wait to the budget and I can go
Oh, I
in
thought that's
detail
what
for
we
that?
were-
No, because that was the budget.
Budget.
But I can review the.
So, but I don't want to interrupt your speech. I thought you said you had no further comments on the budget, so please just proceed.
Yeah, so this is based off of, Commissioner Hendrick is giving an update based off of the Budget and Finance Committee. But item 8H, as in hotel, is the airport fiscal year 23-24 and 24-25 budget review. So I'll go into a little bit more detail in there for the capital projects, and the Wi-Fi will be addressed there.
Thank you.
Ken, great update. Thank you for meeting. Any questions for Ken? Seeing none, we move on to Victoria.
Thank you. So this is the finance summary update. I actually provided a memo of exactly what I would say as if I were reading it out to everyone here. I can definitely go through and I can read it to you, which identifies everything for all 4 of the different funds. Or if you had an opportunity to read it and maybe you have some questions, then I can address those questions.
Any questions for Victoria on the memorandum she provided?
Is this the place to talk about new revenue sources that Ken mentioned?
That would be,
The next,
the next,
I got it.
yeah,
I'm over the
for the new year.
So Victoria, maybe you can, go over highlights
Highlight?
of this, the period that you're talking about. Are there any unexpected expenditures or any unexpected revenues that have occurred? And my always perennial question is, what date, or what month is involved in this particular numbers?
Sure.
Is that as of March, as of, February,
Sure. So the financial summary that's provided to everyone today is year-to-date reviews of, I'm sorry, a year-to-date revenues and expenditures ending March 31st.
Okay.
So highlights for that, for all 4 funds, they're doing very well. The biggest change that you'll note is the capital expenditure fund 416. Where you'll see that there's a net spending of approximately $1.3 million. We had an increase of about $823,000 of expenditures when compared to prior months because most of our expenditures hit for the FAA funded projects like the hotspot study, the taxiway rehabilitation design, as well as the wildlife hazard assessment, the runway sweeper. We even had some additional project expenses for the common use, for the gate striping, and for some network switches that we installed for IT related matters. So the airport intends to submit for reimbursement to the FAA $716,000 for Q3. So we'll see that reimbursement come in most likely at the end of April 30th.
So are we running within your expectations
Absolutely.
of where we're going to
So
be?
our actuals right now for our revenues are 44 million and we have budgeted 47 million. And that is a year-to-date actual that I looked at earlier today. So of everything that has posted, we have posted $44 million in revenue. Our budget is 47 million.
And we only have 3 more months left in this year.
Correct.
So we're running way ahead.
We are.
So what will the excess projected revenue be?
So the excess projected revenue, that's a good question. I'm gonna wait until a little bit later on next month because I'm curious how May and June is gonna look for us for our revenues. So I don't have an answer for you right now.
But traditionally, they were really good because festivals, right?
The festivals don't bring in as much revenue as everybody probably thinks they do. The festivals bring in a lot of people to the valley. But as far as to the airport, most of our revenues are from our #1 generator, which is our on airport rentals. And so that's when you usually see a bunch of the snowbirds heading back home in March before it starts to get warm again. So March is like our peak month where we see our top revenues because of the rental cars. A lot of people don't rent cars for Coachella. They do taxis, Uber, Lyft. So actually, we're going to see about a $20,000 spike in our revenues for our ground transportation because we just, well, probably even more, maybe even double that because of all of the fees that we're getting for limos and private transportation to pick up all of the Coachella.
So just a little out of your box. Say we had flat revenues from last year. For months, of April, May, June. And going back to Dave's question. Say we just did flat, we didn't do better, we didn't do worse, we did the same. Out of your, and we won't hold you to this. So what do you think we would be doing with the revenues at the end of the year?
So we are on the record because we are recording. So that is holding me to it.
Well, no, I'm not gonna do something way.
So
Let's just ask what the budget.
it's gonna be over budget is what it's gonna be.
Say again?
It's gonna be over what we projected for our budget. for this year.
Let me reframe the question. What is the projected revenue for
April, May, and June in the budget today.
Okay, so I'll just throw out 50 million is gonna be the project, the, where we might be ending our budget at for revenues. For June 30th.
Thank you, Victoria.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for her?
Question I asked about the budgeted Wi-Fi amount.
Eight,
That's the-
eight.
I'm sorry.
Moving on to you. David, we need your report.
I'm sorry.
The operation, property and facilities committee.
We skip budget.
Yeah. I would do that. I mean. Victoria's trying to
She
give
just finished 8G.
So 8G was, our revenues and expenditures ending through March 31st, okay? So now, we're on the next one, 8H, that is gonna be our budget for fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25. So, we'll go over that. Prepare to be amazed. All right, let me just try to share my screen here. Right, give me one more second.
You're,
Am I on presentation? I can see the slide. The view. Oh. Okay, thank you.
We are.
Okay. All right, so this is the proposed, so in your packet, you're gonna see a lot more information. You're gonna see the actuals for fiscal year 21, fiscal year 22, the revised budget for 23, the estimated actual, and then the proposed budget for 24 and 25. So you'll see that in your packet, but up on the screen here, you will see the proposed budget for fiscal year 23, 24 and 24, 25. And I'm gonna break it down by fund. So Fund 405 is the customer facility charge. That is where the car rental companies, they collect a fee that is assessed. It's $9 per day up to 5 days. So we could collect about $45 per transaction versus the $10 per transaction. So what we're proposing for the fiscal year 23-24 budget is that we're going to make about 8.8 in revenue. And that's based off of the passengers that are deplaning at the airport. So that was a projected number for deplanements and even verified with the car rentals, because I reached out to them and asked for them to provide the projected numbers for the year. So we work together in coordination with that. You'll see expenditures there for 10.6 million. And that is primarily because of a property acquisition that we're proposing to use customer facility charges for. There's some vacant property that we are looking into to maybe potentially purchase for a future consolidated rental car facility or even parking. So we're not 100% with what exactly we're going to use it for, but some type of parking. And we're working closely with Mead and Hunt, who's currently doing our master planning process to help us with determining that outcome. So we went ahead and we put it in the budget there as a placeholder for it. In addition to that, we have about $2 million that we're proposing for the rental cars to be relocated to another location temporarily for our baggage claim expansion, because as y'all may have read in the news, we received $5.7 million of BIL ATP funding, and so we need to start preparing for that. The proposed budget for fiscal year 25, revenues are 9 million and expenditures are 3 million. So we're going to have an ending fund balance for fiscal year 24 of 36 million And then ending fund balance for fiscal year 25, 42 million. Does anybody have any questions about Fund 405? Okay, next slide. So Fund 410 is our passenger facility charge. That is the $4.39 that's assessed on airline tickets and is collected by the airlines and remitted to the airport. So we're projecting to have revenues of about $6.4 million with expenditures of about $9 million. And then there's a transfer to Fund 416 for special capital projects and the amount of $6.4 million. So our expenditures for Fund 410, the FAA allows the airport to apply for a PFC application with the FAA for us to use PFC funds for approved projects. And so the project that we are going to be submitting to the FAA is the expansion of the ticket hall. And you may think, what, we just spent all this money on the ticket hall expansion for this new baggage handling system. But you also have been involved with all of everything that you've heard about the somewhat of a nightmare. We've got it a little bit under control now. We're daydreaming now, but we need to do an expansion of the baggage handling system. We went ahead and we had hired a consultant to do an analysis of the capacity of the BHS, and they gave us a short, medium, and long-term plan. And so we are going to move forward with that medium-term plan, which requires the expansion of the building to expand the baggage handling system. So there is some expenditures in there for that to cover the cost of the expansion of the baggage handling system and the terminal itself.
I'm sorry, so you said ticket hole, so I was thinking something. So are both numbers in 405 and 410 that carry over to 24-25? Those are both when combined for those projects. So for example, the land purchase is 10.6 and 3 for 405. Ditto with the baggage expansion, 9 mil plus 2.5.
Okay, I gotcha. So you're asking if the project itself is for both of those expenditure amounts for Fund 405?
Yeah, is 3 million part of your land expansion?
Good question, but it is not, no. So that is more for the customer, the ticket counters for the car rentals for both years. And the planning and design of the new consolidated rental car facility for fiscal year 25.
So the 10.6 and the 3 million for a total of 13.6 is a combination of land purchase, planning, renovation, ticket counter. So it's fixed asset, land.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Does it solve the problem, or is it just a down payment on the problem?
It will solve the problem long term, definitely.
It's the first step in solving the problem.
I was gonna say, because we had a bigger number, we had a huge number in September. Okay.
And this is, so the 3 million, 2.5 of the 3 million covers the design phase of the consolidated rental.
If this is. And then same question on where you were, the 410, the additional 2.5.
So the additional 2.5 is for PFCs. Oh, that is, I'm sorry, so the 2.5 is for debt service and interest. So that 9 million covers debt service and interest for the bonds that we took out in 2019. And then in fiscal year 2025, the 2.5 covers debt service and interest.
Oh, okay, so these are this is bond payments.
Yes, but some about 2.5 million is bond payments on both of the fiscal years.
Got it.
The remaining expenditure that makes the 9 million whole is the building expansion for the baggage handling system.
Both inbound and outbound, or just outbound? Just outbound.
David?
Yeah, so a couple of months ago, we had a consultant in here talking about strategic planning and the rental cars.
facilities, and they were explicitly asked to come back to us with options. And I know budgets need to be made to accommodate all types of possibilities, but the language that's being used today is that this consolidated rental car facility is being built, money is being allocated to build this facility. I mean, you've said that now three times in this meeting, and that's a direct contradiction to the conversation we had probably less than 2 months ago.
Yeah, so we haven't made any decisions. We're reserving funds because we need to reserve funds to make sure they're marked for such purposes, but we haven't made any decisions, and the master plan process will bear that out.
Okay, I just wanted to put that out there for the record, otherwise it would be, the record of this meeting would show that we're building a consolidated rental car facility. As far as I understand, that decision hasn't been made yet. So I'm sure Christina will reflect that in the minutes, because I just said it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is it traditional to stay in the negative in Fund 410?
So Fund 410, we collect the fees, but the fees are the passenger facility charges, they're transferred into a trust fund because we have that bond. So all of the passenger facility charges get transferred into the trust fund, and that trust fund funds our projects for any PSC approved projects.
So if you did a reconciliation, an accounting reconciliation,
It would be in the positive.
okay.
Yeah.
Is
And
there a
then,
way to show that on here? Does the council understand that when you present this to the council, the city manager, or?
we can put it on there
I mean, I think it would be helpful because,
because you see a negative.
well, yeah, not just, I mean, a pretty large name. And if someone doesn't know what that means, like the public or the council, it might raise alarm. It really isn't any alarm to raise.
Any other questions about Fund 410? Okay. Going on to the one that's gonna be amazing. But shocking, so. Okay, so Fund 415 is our airport operation and maintenance. So as you can see, our operating revenues have dramatically increased. So we have an amount of 61 million, which is about double of what our projected budget is for this year. And so the reason for the sticker shock is a few things. One of them, we're going through the airline use and lease negotiation, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. Item 8L is going to give you an AULA update. So we have the airline rates that are the rates and charges, which are based on our operating and our capital expenses. So we calculate those rates based off of the numbers that we put into our O&M. As you can see, our expenditures are about $41 million for fiscal year 24's operating budget. So you'll see that as an increase compared to fiscal year 23. 23's operating budget was about 35 million. Fiscal year 24's is 41 million. So when we plugged in our numbers to the airline rates and the charges, it spit out some numbers and said the airlines are going to cover this cost. In addition to that, our non-aeronautical revenues are also going to be increasing. So as you know, we got the new concessions program that's going to be hopefully fully in place by 2024, 2025. That's what it's projected to be. We even got updated projected numbers from both MRG and Parodies. The great thing is that MRG, for the retail side of the house, their revenue share is 20% of their gross sales. Before, with Parodies, we were only receiving 12%. So we've gone up 8% there. In addition to that, for the food and beverage side of the house, they are now going to be giving us 12% revenue share for the food portion, and then 15% revenue share for the alcohol. If you ask me how much of that we're getting for each, I don't know what the breakdown is, but I do know that previously, or what we are currently on, with our food and beverage revenue share is a tiered revenue share program, with the max being 12% after we hit 7 million of gross sales. So, we have, those are our two key, our airline rates, as well as our non-aeronautical revenues, they are going to be increasing. In addition to that, we increased our public parking fees, which are going to help with our capital projects that we have planned for upcoming years. We even included the additional staffing that we have proposed for fiscal year 24 and 25. As you heard, City Manager Scott Stiles mentioned, he's diligently working on the airport, beefing up our staff. With that, we can actually now focus on doing things like upgrading our carpeting, upgrading our signage, our wayfinding, I'm sorry, our signage, not wayfinding so much so yet. Our parking, our passenger pickup, for shuttling, our Wi-Fi. That's also one thing that's on our capital projects. So there's a lot of revenues that we'll be receiving, but there's a lot of operating and capital expenses that we have planned for the next 2 years. Go ahead. Scott.
Okay, so, so you're really anticipating, I guess more to our area, $3.5 million in additional staff
Yes.
and $4.7 million.
Yes. A large sum of that is PERS cost. So we took the total liability, but a large sum of that is frankly the retirement cost to hire the people.
Is there a listing or a detail of the new staff you're asking for?
I presented that last meeting, I believe.
So we delivered.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to say for fiscal year 25, we had 27 new positions, and then fiscal year 24, we had, I want to say it was like 20.
Yeah. Total, we're adding 45 additional positions.
So you're adding 45 additional. And do you think we have a sustainable revenue over the next 10 years to keep those positions funded?
We believe that part of the master planning process and part of our strategic planning process, when we eventually start developing strategic plans to go along with the master plan, will help support that, yes.
Okay.
Scott, if
Yeah, go ahead.
Scott, if you remember, we anticipate over the 10-year period, this is from our strategic planning session in December, that we anticipate going from 3 million passengers to 6 million passengers over a 10-year period. And that was at a 2.3% growth rate. I mean, very conservative. And we're running at 8 to 10.
Well,
First,
from fiscal year
4 months or 3 months, we are at 25.
But if you average it over the 12 year 12-month period, you're 8 to 10%. That's pretty substantial. I don't think it's sustainable. I think we're at some point we're going to drop down to the 3 to 4%. But
and flatten out.
and well, it's going to be a lower slope, but still, that's a lot of growth and a lot of people that the airport's going to try to pass through here.
I don't think the issue really is, I don't think there's a debate around the growth. I think we're very lucky in that. I think it's, do you want full-time staff? It's back to core competency, full-time staff versus outsourcing. How do you, and with an outsourced approach for certain key positions and a decision that this isn't core competency for airport, then you can get rid of it, right? You don't have, you can contract, right? Which is gonna happen, right? So I think that's the discussion point, what's core, what's strategic, and then what needs to be outsourced. I think that's a discussion that would be useful at some point.
So I can just tell you right now, we outsource a lot and see how it's working for us. So we're trying to change that.
Understood, but that's also contract management, incentives. I mean, it's a whole bunch of things, right?
But you have all the facilities you're gonna need, I mean, you're talking about a lot of staff. Maybe a ton of staff, and are you gonna have the facilities to be able to house them and to be able to, you know, have them work and do the whole thing? Because you're, you know, 45 positions in 2 years is a tremendous growth. And you're confident you can handle all that.
We've spent a lot of time over the last 2 weeks space planning for those positions. And identifying areas that are underutilized, so we're pretty confident we can handle it at least for the next 2 years. What we anticipate. Now, that said, we are obviously space constrained and there are some challenges here, and those will be addressed in the master planning process. And hopefully in subsequent development processes, but we have been thoughtful about that.
Okay. And I'm sorry, just one more question. If, I think, has the airport gone through a class and comp study? In the last 3 or 4 years?
There's, well, a couple of things on that. So a lot of our older positions, no. However, there is an ACI study that's available to us that we use as a resource to benchmark against with some of our positions. The newer positions, that's a traditional part of the process. There's a comp study done before we even advertise those positions.
Okay, because my concern is that from your positions all the way down, it should be looked at relative to any of the new positions coming in. And I think adjustments need to be made, should be made. From your position all the way down, incorporating any of these new positions that you're bringing in. And if you don't really do a comprehensive class study, I think some of the older traditional positions are going to be way out, are going to be way under what they should be paid. And so I really would like the commission, as part of this approval, to recommend to the city council or the airport staff that a comprehensive classification study, comp and class study be done for the airport positions, so that no one is being paid underneath what they deserve to be paid. And but I'll leave that up to our chairperson to do that. But I would like to include that in any motion.
That we will handle it for future discussion. All right,
Okay, hold on, one thing, and then I'm almost done, I promise.
What's a big one?
Okay, so Fund 416, this is our airport, capital projects. So, the bottom line is that we will still have a positive ending fund balance. So I'm gonna go to the next page that gives you a little bit of a break. Oh, I'm sorry, some pie charts there. I don't even.
Any questions on the pie charts? We'll be back.
Okay, let's come back to it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry y'all can't really see this, but it is in your packet. It shows you, it's the pink line. It shows you all. I did, can you tell?
yeah.
So we have a total of 16 different projects that we're anticipating to have completed in fiscal year 24. Some of these are using some airport funds. A lot of them are funded by grants. And then you'll even see some PSC funds and then some CFC funds. So different types of funding is going to be used to fund these projects here. But Commissioner Feltman, you'll see item 10 and 11, and even Commissioner Payne for the Wi-Fi consultant design, as well as the Wi-Fi installation, construction of it. So,
So that's 11.
yeah, 10 and 11.
That's 11. So, questions or no?
Oh, sure.
So, I'm the airport, I've got $650,000. Is Harry and Victoria and Jeremy and others writing the check to somebody they pick to do what they want? Or is this money going to City Hall IT for them to do what they think is best?
City Hall IT bases their projects on our priorities, so we'll outline the priority for them, tell them what our needs are. They'll do a lot of the legwork behind it. So for example, if we're trying to procure certain software, they'll do the research, figure out what it works best and is most compatible with our systems. And then we execute in that direction, but it's usually a joint, it's partnership in making those decisions.
So you're the bank funding city IT for this Wi-Fi effort, correct?
I think Commissioner Payne wants to know, will you have direct authority to get these things done?
Yes.
That's what he wants to know.
Yeah.
And not leave it to city IT.
No, it's our money. They spend it the way we ask them to spend it.
Okay.
In the line item in the pie chart page, which says IT starts off in 23 at 210, goes across, is that outside of that Wi-Fi? So this is
Yes.
additional technology.
That's correct.
Okay, and then on top of that, we've got money and investments coming from the concession folks at Parodies and Marshall Group. And now, based on tonight and Daniel, we've also got investment from our buddies at Fuse.
Right.
Okay,
We're gonna make sure that all lines up perfectly.
well, you read my mind, right? So that's the big, so Daniel is running Fuse, right? But who, again, it comes back to your broad shoulders, right? Jeremy?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we're a little off topic, I don't want to go there, but you understand the concern.
yeah, so,
I got 3 trains.
so we're coordinating strategies with all of those projects. That's the first thing. Second thing is, a couple of our priority hires were for an aviation planner and for project manager. So, and those are coming within weeks, not months. So a lot of that shifts over to them to coordinate and to be on the same page about what gets executed and how it gets executed. And then from there, we'll figure out how to prioritize the different facets and bring them together.
Okay.
I have a question on, number 5. Is that meant to include the, overflow lot, in terms of, parking design and all of that stuff? Because I walked that lot again this week and it's, and we've talked about this before, it's not, customer friendly in the least. We talked about this in the operations committee meeting.
Lot A, lot, employee lot, it's all, it's.
Yeah, so it's the 3 areas that I spoke about last meeting, 2 meetings ago, 3 meetings ago. They all go together, but it's lot A just out here. The entirety of the overflow lot that we currently use as a holiday lot.
Yeah.
And then preparation and design of an employee lot across the road.
Okay, so 5 is inclusive of the overflow lot. Thank you.
So, I've been asked to be acting chairman here. So do we need a motion to, approve the 23, 24, and 24, 25 budget?
We do, let's just double check. Are there any commissioners on Zoom that have any questions in regard to the budget?
Nope.
Thank you. Yes, so, we would like to request a motion to recommend to the city council that the approval of the airport fiscal year 23 and 24 and 24 and 25 budgets.
Couple more questions we can have there. Are the pink ones the?
Before discussion, I'll second. So now we have a motion on the floor. Now you can ask the question.
Wait, sorry, who is the
Motion.
first motion? Who made the motion? No one made the motion.
Make the motion.
Over here.
Oh, okay, so we have a motion. And a
I'll
second.
second. Let's try.
So the new revenue that Ann referred to, is that in the budget package here?
Yes.
And where would I see it? Is that
So,
pink?
so the new revenue that we're receiving for There's a few, we have leased parking.
But is it called out here, or is it?
It's lumped into the account, so in the non-aeronautical revenues. So you'll see the lease parking and then the terminal non-air common. Those are the areas where you'll definitely see the increases in the numbers. And so that's where all of the new revenues include. Does that make sense or no? Am I not answering your question? What's
No, we're good, we're good.
the pink is our capital projects.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay.
Right, okay. I'm good.
Okay, we're good to take a roll call vote?
No, I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Riddell?
So for number 3, the verbiage method signage. So I recall during Fuse's presentation, they were going to invest 400,000. So is this 800,000 on top of their 400,000?
It's different.
Yeah, different signage. So they're talking about advertising. The variable message signage is the signage as you're coming through the VIP, as you're coming around the loop road. The signage that's all wonky and says all kinds of random stuff, but not really any words. It's digital. We're replacing that.
Thank you.
And then just to reiterate, because I think you answered this last meeting, the pedestrian improvements that need to be made so that pedestrians are safe in the parking lots and everything like that are going to be within each one of these parking lot funds. So we don't miss those at all.
Correct. They're going to be captured in the parking lot design. And the rest of it will be done as we incrementally improve the airport.
All right.
Any other questions?
Yeah, one more. Usually you get a budget. And then you get a month to look at the budget and talk about it, and then you come back to approve the budget and it moves through the process, right? Is it just staff time that we didn't get a month to look at this? I mean, every place I look at, usually you don't approve it after looking at it for 20, 30 minutes.
We have the budget and finance committee that we brought it to. But go ahead, were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say that in addition to some of the timelines that we're up against as well. So it's not only staff time, it's, we still have to get this to the airlines, we still have to present it to the council, they have to review it, and they have to approve it, all those things. There's, for the airport, there's 6 or 7 different steps.
Right.
Beyond what the other departments have to do to even get the budget approved.
So did the budget committee approve it?
No, budget committee did not approve it because it was not finalized. And I think part of it was because the airport agreements were not completed at that point.
Exactly.
So the additional revenues that Mr. Barrett is going to talk about on down a little ways, were not available at that point.
And keep in mind, we can always do a budget adjustment at mid-year. So if for whatever reason we need to go up or down, that is something that we can do later on in January.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote to recommend to the city council to approve the budgets. Commissioner Adams? Breslin?
Yes.
Badillo? Burke?
Yes.
Dot has left the meeting. Feltman?
Yes.
Hedrick?
Yes.
Hughes?
Yes.
Michaelis?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Payne?
Abstain.
Pye?
Yes.
Slama?
Yes.
Wise?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Okay, operations, properties, and facilities committee update.
Okay. Okay, so the committee met on April 5th. And we covered a range of issues, discussed parking, capacity, and got an update from Bone in very general terms about the capacity of lots and the frequency with which they were at 85 and 95% capacity. But we did not receive hard data on that, and Commissioner Payne asked for data on that, and I'm hoping that we'll receive that soon. And I think that would come primarily from our parking provider. there was a discussion about the baggage handling system, and I think we've covered that in the budget, the grant and the FAA, and the work that will commence on that. I just don't know, Harry, about the timeline. Is there like a commencement date for that?
The outbound baggage handling system, or
Yeah, the outbound.
there is not at this time, so we're still trying to get stuff wrapped up with TSA.
Okay, thank you. I raised the issue of customer experience measurement, and I was told that the purpose of that is to be more customer experience centric and to sort of measure satisfaction and just general observations from our buying public. We were told that Daniel is spearheading some effort on that, on that regard. So I guess this is my request to add that to the agenda for, I would actually ask for that to be added to the June meeting. I'm going to be absent in May, since I've asked for it, I'd like to be present unless the other people want to proceed with it. Anybody object to waiting an extra month for that? No, you don't, do we need to take a roll call? Not Christina?
No, that's
Just-
okay. I'm making note.
And then, the earthquake disaster preparedness, honestly, I would need staff to update, but Kevin's not here and he was the one who requested it, so let's just move that down the road to the next committee meeting, and not take up, commission time on that. We also discussed Wi-Fi, and the staff has budgeted a serious amount of money to address that, for which I want to express appreciation. I always appreciate when substantial amount of funds are dedicated to solving the problem as opposed to just minor, nothing. And it should give us a good start on that. So thank you. And just want to note for the record in the minutes, the operations committee was given 2 additional areas of responsibility, which one is landscape committee was consolidated into operations, and just want to note the importance of that in terms of our sustainability goals. I think those intersect, and so that is something we will need to begin to address, as well as incorporating the whatever we want to call the project to work with cooperatively with the Arts Commission on making modifications, enhancements to the arts presence at the airport. So we will be addressing those moving forward, and at this point we will be working on scheduling a future meeting. I'll be consulting with members of the committee on agenda items and making that request to staff in the next week or so.
Could I add, under David's, passenger survey item that you noted for June, I guess,
Sure.
June. But we added a discussion of ACI's ASQ survey process.
Can we
As
just
well
take
as-
some of the letters, can we words with that for me?
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
sure.
That's a good point.
Airport Council International is one of the trade associations that the airport belongs to. Yeah. And they have multiple regional organizations. One was called ACI World out of Montreal. And they create something called the Airport, that's ASQ, Airport Survey of Quality, Air Service Quality.
Air service quality.
Air Service Quality, ASQ. And so it's a benchmark study that's been done for 15 years, maybe 20 years. And what it does is it allows Palm Springs to benchmark itself against any other airport of size. And so it's really useful to find out where you are in vis-a-vis everybody else.
Great.
So it does what you want to do.
Just for clarification, so Commissioner Feldman, you were asking for an update to the commission on Daniel's customer experience plan, or are you asking for an update to the committee?
To the commission.
Okay, and are you, for what Commissioner Payne's asking for, would you like that to be brought to the committee first or straight to the
Why don't you
commission?
just ask Daniel to incorporate that into,
The both,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah, it's a subset.
okay, understood, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm sorry. I realize this is going to go 3 hours.
Okay. Concession update.
Next year.
Sure, is that me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, well, Victoria is trying to hand the reins over to me on some projects. And you can kind of see how busy she is with the budget and finance, and so she's kind of handing me the reins, and I'm trying to do the best I can to coordinate the concessions program going forward. So there's a memo that Victoria and I created that's in your packet that kind of gives a brief summary of kind of where we're at and where we're going. We've been having weekly meetings. Harry, myself, and Victoria are intimately involved with the concessions program on many different levels. From interacting with the lead folks with Parodies and MRG, talking about scheduling and many different areas of the concessions program. There's obviously many facets of the program, and to get it off ground, we're pretty much in the phase of submittals right now. So we've got one submittal that's come into us with 30% design for 9 cities. And then there's a multitude of submittals that are coming our way from a lot of the different facilities that are going in from both MRG and Parodies. So I don't know if you all have any questions, but things are going pretty well. We got updated schedules. We're following the schedule. We're holding our feet to the fire and making sure they're meeting deadlines and giving us what we need. And we're coordinating, like I said, the design submittals as they come in. The next 2 things that are kind of coming our way are they're essentially bringing in these large temporary coolers that will be going in because they're going to be demolishing the inside of the old bistro area. So they have to basically get those coolers that they're currently using, and they need to put them in a place where they can handle some of the demo in the bistro area. And so that's kind of the next thing that's coming, is working with their contractor to bring those coolers and get those connected, and then working on the demo permits to start demoing the inside interior of the bistro. So again, I'm available for any questions if you have any.
You know what I'll ask. So master schedule, critical path, milestones, 1 page. You were gonna bring that to the commission, right?
We have, yeah, I haven't combined it into 2, but, or into 1, but we do have schedules that they have both given us. So I can combine that into 1 schedule if that's what you would.
Yes.
Okay, please, sure.
And you're ready to do that, right? You got what you got from your 2 members, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Ad hoc master plan review committee working group. Is that Harry?
No, that's actually me. So Harry and I have been advised by the city attorney, Jeff Ballinger, that because there will be city staff participating in the master plan process, we should have had the commission vote to create an ad hoc committee. And the master plan consultant Meeting Hunt has advised Harry and I that a working group would be the best way to proceed with the master plan meetings. And we would like to have the airport commission vote to discharge the ad hoc master plan review committee and create a master plan working group with the same commissioners that were assigned to the ad hoc committee. The first working group meeting will be held the first week of May. And barring any delays, an update should be provided to the commission in November 2024. Any questions?
So we need a motion to dissolve the master plan.
Ad hoc committee
So moved.
and create a master plan group. A second from Commissioner Burke. Okay, roll call vote, Commissioner Adams. Breslin.
Yes.
Badillo,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Feltman. Guys, I'm sorry. Hedrick,
Yes.
Hughes,
yes,
Michaelis,
Yes.
Miller,
Just a point of clarification, if I'm one of the commissioners, is it appropriate for me to vote yes?
yes, it is.
Okay, then yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Pye,
Yes.
Slama,
yes,
Wise.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Thank you. An AULA update.
Okay, airport use and lease agreement, that's me. I did provide much of that in my executive director report from the last meeting as well as this meeting. At the time in the last meeting, only one airline had signed the agreement, that was United. Since then, we got signatures back from Southwest, Delta, and we are expecting American and Air Canada to come in any day now. We're moving along. The AULA, we have on the agenda to move to council on the 27th of this month, and that is my report. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So, in your report, you're asking approval for the 7, but then you're saying along with other future eligible airlines starting to enter the EULA. So are you asking the council to approve not only the 7, but anybody else without having to go back, say, airline Z decides to go in? So you're asking for that automatic approval?
Yeah, that's correct. So, so that's what our current agreement is, by the way, is any legal carriers that come in, they're just automatically added with my signature.
Okay. Projects and airport capital improvement.
Sorry, Commissioner, before we move forward, were there any more questions?
Yeah, I had one on the back. I think it's the same. You have a table in the back of your EULA memo. Is that true?
It's in this here.
So is this the new numbers we get with the new EULA?
So actually, those are a little bit old, because they're not, here's the updated budget that we just finalized like today, yesterday, our numbers. So, there is a revenue share to the airlines with the new AULA, and then a 50% revenue share from our net of whatever our revenues minus our expenses are. And, the airport keeps 50%, the airlines keep 50% of that net.
So this number is a projection that our consultant provided in the negotiation process. So this is what the airlines got, and we told them to expect to see numbers very similar to this, maybe not this exact number, but we would be in the ballpark.
So not needed, huh, but Redondo?
Correct.
And so I'm looking at the CPE, so if it's not 813, it'll be 811 or 817. It's to give something.
It'll be somewhere in that area.
Yeah, okay. So goes up to 905. Now, this does not include bonds for the master plan work, right?
We didn't have any.
Yeah, I mean, your master plan process, you're gonna get bonds at some point. That's completely.
Yeah, that's not included.
But debt service would be included as an expense.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, sorry.
Good.
Any other questions? Okay, can we have a motion to recommend that the city council approve the new AULA and non-signatory airline operating permit?
Yes. So second.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Breslin,
Yes.
Badillo,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Hedrick,
Yes.
Hughes,
yes,
Michaelis,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
High, Slama,
yes,
Wise. Thank you. We have a unanimous vote.
And a commendation to airport staff and Harry for getting us here. This is a big deal. Thank you. Yes.
Very long.
Okay, now we're on 8M projects and airport capital improvement program update.
That was provided in written form. However, if there are any questions, I'm happy to take those at this time.
Any questions? Seeing none. Wi-Fi.
This item was requested by Commissioner John Payne, so we'll let him take the lead on this one.
So just where are we? I walked in and did a little check on Wi-Fi and it was less than 50K in the public area. So I said baggage walking up the stairs and wandered around. And it was less than the download. It was like, I was really surprised, right? And there's really nobody in the terminal at 5:30 today. So just where is that where's the immediate fix for that kind of problem? That you couldn't do anything with 50.
Yeah, so is there an immediate fix? Probably not. Is there a plan for a fix? Yeah, and that's what the IT team is working on now.
But is 50K, I mean, is 50K acceptable? Does that hit the number or the SLA, the SLO that city IT says they're gonna give you? I mean, what's their commitment to you now?
Their commitment to us now is to basically bring in consultants to look around, assess where we need additional service here to figure out how to get us there. So we budgeted for that. We're scheduling that. That obviously has to go through a procurement process.
Yes.
The immediate need, I'm not sure the immediate need can be resolved. And I don't think, even if it could be resolved right now, we would still have to go through a 4 or 6 month procurement process to get there.
But are they hitting, and here's my struggle, are they hitting what they committed to you whenever they did back in the day? So they provide you service and you pay for that service. What was, was there an SLA or we'll give you this bandwidth in the public areas for passenger use? It will never fall, what you get with your cable provider?
Yeah, so was there an SLA? No, I am guessing not. Of course, none of us were here when that was a thing. But if I were to go and try and find documents, no, we would probably not find documents that, hey, we are committed to this service level, this is what we're gonna do. So that's something that the IT department is trying to fix and resolve now. A lot of things that didn't happen in the past is, as with the airport, the rest of the city departments are going through that same revolution of trying to bring the city to where it needs to be. So we'll figure that out. We'll get a consultant out here to take a look at it. They'll make some recommendations and we'll tell them what our requirements are, what our needs are, but that's gonna take some time.
6 months. Yeah.
6 months is aggressive, I would say closer to a year, based on our procurement process.
So it'll stay like, potentially, it could stay like it is right now for 12 months.
Correct.
And our friend Klingeland, there's no plan to do anything in the next 12 months other than what you just articulated.
No, I'm not, he would have to, I'll ask him what his plans are post consultant, but I know that he is working on this as well as other issues elsewhere in the city. And a lot of the hang up, frankly, isn't with the IT department. They're gonna do the best they can to get us what we need, including the staffing levels to get us there. The hang up really is the process to get there, right? So actually going through a procurement process, which for us takes 4 to 5 months just to get through that process. Select somebody, execute a contract, get them out here to do the work, which is another 3 months, and then start developing solutions.
Would you be open to piggybacking onto, with the commission's approval, an existing contract that would get you to the consultants faster?
That's a question for Larry. That's not a question for me, so I can ask him that question right now.
Please, yeah. There's a bunch of them out there. Once we get the approvals, we'll be done. You don't have to do your own procurement. This problem is pretty.
I think as far as the city goes, you definitely have to go through the procurement process. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. When you
So
say
there are a bunch of.
about something else, if you're talking like a cooperative, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, even with the cooperatives, they still take a little bit of time, but there's a process with it, but it's a little bit less time than having to do the solicitation and having it out on the street.
Right.
On the street, so yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's pretty quick, once you get the approvals, right?
Just
Sometimes it depends on what
Regarding the queue.
what the contract language says and how many things we have to go through the process.
Well, they're out there.
Any other questions? Airport technology?
I'm gonna hand that over to Commissioner Payne.
Well, this one also came out of David's group, and this is just, the concern around making certain everything flows together and you're taking advantage of opportunities, right? So back to Wi-Fi, is there something you can do off of Parodies or Marshall Group or perhaps even Fuse when it comes to leveraging their contracts and what they're gonna be doing? And then ensuring that, the conduit and the cabling and the power and all that stuff. It's not just point specific to a Paradise thing, et cetera, that it addresses the airlines, it addresses what you need from an airport standpoint. It's, the fiber's pulled and you gotta open the ground, and put in a duct, et cetera. You can do all that stuff. So you don't dig up the street twice.
We usually, anytime we do a project and we something up, at least this has been recent practice for us, is we look at all areas of there that need to be serviced and determine if we can supply that service doing the project that we're doing. And Jeremy's actually going through that with common use right now. We're looking around going, okay, we might need additional things here to make this work. This work will be here in addition to our common use requirements. So that's something that we're constantly looking at anyway.
Okay, executive director's report. Mr. Barrett.
That was also provided in written form. So one or two brief questions I can pick on that.
So we're at VHS in the suing the previous VHS.
That
Back to the stone,
that I can't speak
back to
to.
Fox News.
Yeah, that I can't speak to. That's
No update,
no update on that.
any movement?
There's movement, but it's not happening in this department. It's happening elsewhere with the city attorney. So
Any other questions? Online? Seeing none. Commissioners' requests and reports. Ms. Pye?
I should have mentioned this earlier, but I didn't. This is just a recommendation. This is with respect to the meeting times. We're an advisory council. And with the city council already having an ordinance. Probably anytime something like this comes up and the city council already has an ordinance in place, it may be better to ask the council, can we do this with the reason for it? Otherwise, again, we're like Simmons. The other thing with respect to the agenda, there should be rules for the agenda with deference to the chair. That's it.
I'm sorry, you said there should be rules to the agenda with respect to the chair. Oh, okay. Elaborate.
Well, for instance, if someone wants to put something on the agenda, you can decide it has to be 2 people or it has to be 1. Or you, with deference, it could be, if there's so many that are put on the next agenda, the chair and the manager will decide what goes on the next meeting or the next meeting. But if there's no rules, this could be much longer. And that may be okay. What I'm giving you is only a suggestion.
I think it was pointed out, we didn't have any rules, and I think they're starting to put some rules together. So the attorney at least alluded to that back, and putting some bylaws together for all the commissioners stuff. And
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I think that dovetails into, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'd like to add to the agenda, to the, maybe not the next agenda, but the June agenda. What I brought up with Bob and Matt, we put on the agenda item a class and compensation study for airport staff.
So you would make a motion and we second and we vote.
So real
No,
quick,
we
that,
cannot take-
can we talk about this a little, just to make sure I, there, so the class and compensation study. Is that a budget and finance or is that a operations? I'm not sure.
That's finance.
Personnel,
That's
we really don't have. So.
Okay, so my question is, should that be considered in the budget and finance committee first? Or do we want to take it straight to the commission?
I think I'm asking as a commissioner that we add it to the June agenda.
Okay, so we, as discussed earlier, we prepared a policy, and gave the commission a memo that the procedure to request items that would be considered by the chair, the committees of if it should go to a committee first or the commission.
But it
So-
wasn't discussed and voted on by the commission. So it's not an operating as the attorney alluded to, we have no rules.
Okay,
So we'll take that note, and my approach will be to discuss it with Tom or Kevin, or whoever's leading that meeting. And we'll determine the best way to proceed.
But the commissioners have a right to be able to ask for an item to be added to the agenda similarly that it would be voted on. And then the motion made, seconded, and then the commission itself would then decide what would be on the agenda. That's really the appropriate way to do that, not necessarily bottleneck by a chair that disappears within the meeting. Sorry, that's the way it is. So,
And quite honestly, that's what the city council does.
yeah.
The city council, you know.
I attended the city council meetings for Red Show, Palm Springs, Vivian Wells, and they'll do it the same way, but I do anything different.
I think.
Ms. Khan?
We're starting an agenda item, it's just an opinion. And that may be the way to do it, but there's not a rule. I'm not trying to do an agenda,
Wonderful.
I'm not trying to make a new agenda.
Well, I was, because I deferred to here. Can we put on the agenda for next month, how do we add an agenda item for discussion and action? Because I'm still fuzzy on the process to do that. So could that be a discussion and an action item for us to discuss and then approve for next month? Because we can't talk about it today.
We'll add that. Pardon? We'll add it.
Thank you.
Report on council action. I'm sorry, anybody else? On the screen. Report on council actions past. And future council actions.
those are just reports.
Okay. We received the airline activity report for March 2023 and the airline activity report fiscal year comparison. Any questions on those? Seeing none. Update committee roster.
That was just an updated roster on. With the possibility of the commission approving to discharge the ad hoc master plan review, so that is reflecting that.
Okay. Future committee meetings. I know the budget does not have one scheduled. At this point, probably in a couple of months.
Marketing does not have one schedule. I mean,
Operations is not here today.
Yeah, there'll be a noise committee update next meeting, because we decided the agenda. Because we had the amount of agenda items already, we would include it in the next agenda.
Do I have a motion for adjournment?
so moved.
We have a second.
Second.
We have to vote on that.
We do. Adams,
Yes.
Breslin. Padilla,
Yes.
Burt, Hendrick,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Michaelis,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Hi,
Yes.
Palama,
Yes.
Wise. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Okay.